Hi, this is Tom Eddins, Evolutionary Astrologer, here to talk about the new moon in Scorpio happening on November 4th, 2021. So new moons, these are a time for a deep reset, really a time to come back into ourselves and take a little downtime, see what's really going on deep in our heart and what do we really want to tune into and align with as we're moving forward into the next cycle, the next month, the next move, the cycle. So this one beginning in Scorpio really brings up the undercurrents, the deep underwater that's, what is the emotional undercurrents of our needs and our drives, our motivations, and perhaps our fears might be coming up right now. And so what are the undercurrents there? What are we really afraid of? And what are we really here to do? What are we really here? Where do we really find deep meaning and purpose in our life? So these are the kind of questions that come up with this new moon in Scorpio. And I'm going to talk a little bit more about that and also about the aspects which are highlighted right now, which is really a huge aspect. There's a couple in the background as well, but the biggest one is Uranus square Saturn. So that's one that's been going all year, and particularly the Uranus side of that square. And so, in other words, this new moon puts us in a T-square with Saturn on the T and Uranus at the opposition. So I'll pull up the chart in just a second here. We'll look deeper into that, and then we'll also look at some of the background aspects that are happening in the cosmos at the moment, but not necessarily related directly to this new moon. So if you just want to take a minute, and if you like my approach here, if you'll subscribe to the channel and like the video, I appreciate it. And that way you can get notification and see when I'm coming out with new videos. They ought to be coming out regularly every full and new moon and other surprise times as well. So please subscribe and like. Really appreciate that. Also, check out my new website at astrologytom.com. So you can book a free 15-minute discovery call where we'll talk about the south and north node of the moon, the karmic past, and the destiny's medicine for you. So we'd love to do that with you. Again, astrologytom.com. I'll put the link in the notes underneath. So I'm going to go ahead and pull up now this chart, and let's take a look at the new moon. All right, so we have here new moon in Scorpio that you can see, and as I said, it's in opposition to Uranus, so exact opposition here. Here's the moon and the sun together. That's a new moon. New moon is when they come together. That's our vital being, our sun, our radiance, who we are, and the light we shine into the world. And then the moon, our emotional nature, where our heart's at. It's our heart on our sleeve. That's more of a full moon. Right now, it's more about aligning the heart with our essential nature. And so that's why it's an opportunity to get in touch, to get in tune with the deeper aspects of who we really are. So we'll see a couple of things. Right off, we can see that Uranus over here is in opposition in an exact 12 degrees, exact opposition to the new moon. So that's the first aspect that I want to talk about here. So let's take a little deeper dive into Uranus. What is this archetype? What aspect of ourselves is being reflected in the cosmos and activated at this time? So Uranus, traditionally, Uranus was not one of the traditional 7 planets, because Uranus wasn't discovered until, I want to say 1850 or so. But this is looking at the mythology, the god of earthquakes and lightning bolts. So sudden change and sudden transition. When things happen that just flash into our life, and all of a sudden things are never the same again. Everything is radically different. So radical change, disruption, these are the kind of things that happen with Uranus. But really the evolutionary aim of that is to give us the opportunity to express our uniqueness, to express our individuality, and to just roll to the beat of our own drum, to do what we do. You do you. That's Uranus. That's the message that Uranus is giving us. So how can we tune back into that with all the chaos going on right now, it's easy to get distracted from, who am I really? What am I really doing here? And, despite what people are telling me I need to be doing, what do I feel deep in my heart? Where is my uniqueness and where is my peace to be found in this? So Uranus and Taurus, finding peace, stability, calmness in expression of our own unique nature, individuality. So really, the archetype of Uranus is further defined by the figure of Prometheus. And so this is really established and outlined in a famous book by Richard Tarnas called Cosmos and Psyche. So an amazing book. He really looks at the outer planet cycles, that's Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto, and correlates them historically to a lot of changes in humanity and big things that happened, times of change and transition and war and peace and evolution, development, and all kinds of things. It's a wonderful book. You should check it out if you get a chance, Cosmos and Psyche. But one of the things that comes to light there is the Promethean archetype. So who's Prometheus? Prometheus is famous for having stole fire from the gods. Prometheus actually was seen to have created humanity, and then he wanted to help them. Prometheus loved mankind, and so he wanted to help mankind and bring them fire. And so this is kind of representative of our ability to innovate and to bring uniqueness, to bring in innovation and new technologies, in a sense, and new things into our life. So how are you bringing fire into your life? Where's your fire? And this new moon is a chance to really tap into that, in an emotional sense, in a sense of what are the deep undercurrents in your life and in your heart that are driving you in your path forward, in your soul's journey on this life. And so this is a time when we're planting a seed. A new moon is a time of planting a seed, of receiving a cosmic seed, a time to be quiet and really receive that inspiration. And right now it's heightened by this sense of individuality. So the question again, who am I? What is my uniqueness that I'm bringing to the world in this situation? And how am I, finding my own path, my own stability, my own peace and calm and serenity, all these Taurian kind of things? How can I, find new ways of bringing that peace and stability, calmness into my life that really serves my unique soul path? So these are the questions being asked. And of course, the highlight this year has been this Saturn-Uranus square, which we can see is highlighted here in the T-square. So Saturn, that part of ourselves which establishes boundaries, which establishes systems, creates systems and plans and organization, ways of doing things, taking steps to get things done, and Saturn in Aquarius. So what are these new systems? What do they look like? How do we communicate them? How do they serve greater community that we're a part of in the world? So, and how can we also serve the individual uniqueness of each person? And so these are the issues that we're dealing with on the whole, culturally too, with everything coming up right now. This past year, we've seen a lot of systems disrupted. Uranus is a disruptor, and so they're coming to a reckoning. How can we form new systems that better serve us in these challenging times, that serve our community and bring in the new technology, the new waters of life. Aquarius, the water bearer. So these are the questions coming up at this time. So one other thing on this chart that I wanted to point out is Mars right here. So Mars is in a loose conjunction with the sun and the moon, so not real tight, but it's in a strong position in the sky. Mars in its home sign of Scorpio. Of course, Mars rules two signs. Traditionally, Mars rules Aries, and Mars was the ruler of Scorpio. Since we've discovered outer planets, now we have an additional ruler. The modern ruler of Scorpio, of course, is Pluto. Pluto representing change and transformation, death and rebirth. So, but prior to that, Mars, it was the aspect of Mars that is, that's really acting from our heart. What is our passion and our drive? And so Pluto helps us expand that in realization that we're always changing, we're always transforming. Life is not as simple as it was in the old days. And so as we've discovered these outer planets, it's been coincident with life becoming more complicated and complex. And so one of the aspects of that is increased transformation. You might say that we live multiple lives in one life nowadays because we have the opportunity to change things up, to change who we are, transform, be with different people, do things in different ways. So Mars, in conjunct to the new moon there, is giving us this opportunity to merge these energies. What is my deep passion? What is my deep drive? What are I desire in life? And how can I align that with what I'm really feeling deep down, with where I place my trust, where I find my trust? And how can we align our trust? See, I'm talking deep Scorpio here, the deep underlying feelings of what do we trust? How can I align my trust with what's really serving the earth here, this Taurus? So how are we able to align myself with a trust in the earth, trust in the natural processes of who we are as human animals on this planet, and really get in touch with our instinctual nature, that part of that Mars archetype, and find our place here as integral parts of nature and integral parts of the ecosystems that we live in, with the trees and the plants and the animals and everything that if we take away the ways that we get in our own way, the distractions and the stress and the fears and the ways that we, the structures that we feel like we have to fit into, the molds, working the 40-hour week, doing the grind, fitting into, selling our time for money, and really just, being willing to give away so much time for so little money for so long. These systems are old. These systems are no longer working. They're being disrupted. And I think we really need to get back in tune with how we're naturally a part of the earth, find our calm and our serenity in life. And what are the unique ways in which we want to bring this out, and we can find healing through surfacing our own unique expression and paths. And the systems will come about, I think, in form the more we're able to do that. That's really the message of this new moon, is tuning into that uniqueness, that individuality, and then that will come into alignment and bring about the systemic change that's needed. But really, so this is a time to do that, to tune into the deep, what are my drives, what do I want, what are my desires, and what does that look like? So I also want to look at some of the other aspects just going on in the sky right now at this time that are in influence in this new moon, but not directly so in line with it as this Uranus and Mars and Saturn here. So pulled up the chart, I've changed it here and taken away the sun, moon, and the Uranus and all that was right in this area, because I wanted to look at a couple other aspects here. So what we have is Jupiter square to asteroid Vesta. Vesta, that part of ourselves. So Vesta, one of the feminine aspects of feminine wisdom within ourselves, is this sense of received embodied wisdom. And how am I, so Vesta particularly, how am I whole unto myself? How can I find completeness in myself? And square to Jupiter then at this time is, which is right here, of course, Jupiter, the aspect of ourselves that expands, that rises and expands into luck in new situations. And in the sign of Aquarius, Jupiter in Aquarius, then how am I opening into new ideas and new paths of, the water flowing, Aquarius, the water bearer. So where's that new water flowing for me, and where can I have faith and trust as I step forward into whatever newness is happening in life? How can I do that and trust in the wholeness of my heart, the wholeness of my integrity? Vesta's in Scorpio here, so there is that sense of that deep digging and what's really underneath all of this. Scorpio, the underlying water currents, the underlying emotional currents within us. So finding wholeness within that and trusting as we move forward. Another aspect that we see highlighted in this that I brought up here is Mercury sextile to Venus. So Mercury over here in Libra, sextile to Venus in Sag. And we see that Venus and Juno are both conjunct there in Sagittarius. So the sextile, the sexy sextile, they'll move together quite easily. So our mind and our perceptions, thoughts, ideas, words, communication, all of these Mercurian aspects of who we are. And then Venus, our inner magnetism. How are we drawing things to ourselves in life? Venus in Sagittarius, what's the big idea? How are we drawing in optimism and new things, new ideas, other philosophies from across the world, philosophies from other cultures, and overarching ideas about life, and what are we, how are we feeling love for those things? How are we drawing them into our life? And what kind of new ideas are they giving us that we can then, feed into? So we're talking about a lot of newness, a lot of uniqueness and expression earlier with this opposition to Uranus. But here that's reinforced with what do you love, and really following your bliss, following your love. So allowing your thoughts to be directed towards just that, towards what do you love and what are you faithful to. Juno, asteroid Juno here is about the feminine aspect of relationship, of being in a relationship and honoring that space of being, honoring the faith and the loyalty and the togetherness, and however we find that kind of being that loyal partner, and being in the embodiment of the relationship. So working through things, allowing things to come up and honoring what comes up. And so finding that in that we see a little bit of balance to all of the emphasis on the unique individuality that we talked about earlier with Uranus. So here we see the cosmos supporting us in finding a more balanced position, particularly with regard to our love and relationships with that Venus-Juno conjunction there. And then how are we thinking about that? Those can kind of feed back and forth. And what are our ideas, and are we communicating? And communicating and being aware of the needs, Libra here, the needs of the other. So where's the partnership? Where's the balance? And how can we tune into that a little more? We got some cosmic support for that. Okay, so while we're on the asteroid goddesses, here's a couple more. We got Pallas Athena up here, and Pallas Athena is square to Ceres. So Ceres, how we're relating to the earth, how we're supported by the earth, how we're embodying that. Again, this feminine wisdom of embodiment. How do I embody my connection to the earth? And what are some new ideas and new experiences I can have in relation to that? Maybe you can try and do some qigong, you can try and do some yoga, you can try some new ways of relating your physical body to the earth. You can try some new foods, you can grow your own garden. All of these are just ideas of ways to support agriculture and support community farms and such like that. And so here integrating squares, particularly about integrating different aspects, different things, all aspects about integration. But this one's integrating then Pallas Athena, the part of ourselves, the feminine wisdom that really is about courage and wisdom and decisions. And how are we finding confidence in ourselves and bringing forth the wisdom of partnership, and their embodiment of partnership and community, and also uniqueness and new ideas. Pallas Athena has aspects of Leo, of Aquarius, and also Libra. So Leo, our confidence, how are we finding confidence in our wisdom and our decisions, and how do we embody that in life? Aquarius, how do we bring in the new things, the new waters of life? How is that flowing through our mind and our wisdom and decisions and into our being. And particularly here in the sign of Pisces, our emotional attunement. So how are we flowing with that? And then Aquarius, Leo, and Libra, again, the partnership. So integrating our wisdom and our lived, experienced wisdom with our relationship to the earth and our relationship to nourishing the earth and all beings on the earth. And how can we bring that up at this time? There's really a great need to. Here, and we have Chiron playing into this too as a sextile to the series. So it flows in smoothly. Chiron, the wounded healer. So that bringing up, what is a wound? A wound of aggression or lack of assertion. Kind of both sides of that coin. Chiron and Aries. So a wound we're working on healing, that we're integrating throughout the course of our life. The wounded healer. So we're healing this wound and we keep working on this throughout the course of our life. And so we know there's woundedness in regards to our relationship to the earth. And so that's what we're working on healing right now and finding some cosmic support for that. So again, how can we bring out some wisdom to find new ways to do that and relate to all this in unique fashion? Okay, and this is also trine here to Saturn, finally. So how are we going to put this into action? How are we going to make a plan? How are we going to put boundaries around it? Put it into something that's a workable system in our lives. These are the questions that are potentially coming up for us at this time and at this new moon. Good questions to meditate on and sit with. All right, and so last thing I wanted to mention is just wanted to show the whole chart and give an idea about that. So here we see the whole chart, and I really wanted to bring this up because it highlights something that this whole chart is on one half of the wheel, and that presents a little bit of an unbalanced situation. So that's going to fall differently depending on in your own individual chart and how it affects you as an individual, depending on what time you were born, what your rising sign is, and that will turn the wheel, so to speak. So it may be like this chart where all the planets are in the upper part of the sky, and that's bringing a huge emphasis to the outer life and the outer manifestation, the public sphere of life. But for you, you may have the opposite of this. You may see all these planets are affecting the lower half of your chart, so bringing a lot of energy and a lot of influence to the subjective aspects of life. Who am I? What do I feel? What do I want? How do I experience life internally? You might find that they show up on the left half of the chart, the eastern side, or on the right half. So the left half of the chart then be more emphasizing a sense of self-determination and like, okay, you make the decisions. It's all about the decisions you make. You go for it. What do you think? It's important to forge our own way in life sometimes. On the other hand, if it's on the right side, the west side of the chart, then for you, it's important to listen for the signs, to really look for the omens and the directives from the universe and look for signs outside of yourself. So that might be coming up at this time for you as well. All right, and that really kind of completes our new moon talk here. I hope you've enjoyed it. I've really enjoyed exploring it with you. And again, check out my website, astrologytom.com. I'm so excited to have that up now. It's a new thing for me. So check it out there. You can find a free astro discovery call under services, and you can also see my services that I'm offering at this time. So we'd love to connect with you around that. Please subscribe to the channel, like the video, hit the notifications, and you'll get announcements when I come out with new videos, and I would love to connect with you further around that. So I hope that's helpful to you. Wish you a beautiful month. Have a wonderful month and new moon. And I hope that you find serenity and peace and a deep sense of purpose at this new moon. Much love. Bye for now.